ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Give My Head podcast, episode 50. We've made it to the big 5-0, ladies and gentlemen. We can't believe it. And to celebrate our 50th anniversary, we are going live for the first ever live podcast. We're in the Mandela Hall on Sunday, the 12th of October. Please get your tickets now. They're selling fast. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to be reading bits and pieces of old scripts of Give My Head Piece. We're going to have some of the cast members from Give My Head Piece. We're going to have some special guests. We're going to have stand-up. We're going to have fun. We're going to have questions and answers. Ask whatever you want about us. So get your tickets now for the Mandela Hall on Sunday, the 12th of October. And ladies and gentlemen, you know the podcast by now. It's episode 50. I'm Tim McGarry, joined by my comedy colleagues
Michael McDowell,
Damon Quinn.
We discuss comedy, culture, arts and politics in Northern Ireland. And for our 50th episode, we get one of the giants of local culture, giants of drama, giants of comedy, director, writer, impresario. Is that fair enough to say impresario? It is, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Martin Lynch. Martin, thank you very much for joining us.
I'm delighted to be here.
Really appreciate you coming down, because a lot of people don't know we have publicly given you credit for the fact that without you, we wouldn't be here. Give My Head Piece. Yep. Genuinely is the result of Mr. Martin Lynch and a conversation in a bar.
Absolutely. I remember it well. I remember like it was yesterday.
That was a big mistake I made that day.
Big mistake you made. Just to go back, if people don't remember, we did a one-off pilot called Two Ceasefires and a Wedding in 1995, and it was meant to be a one-off. We thought it was going to be
We thought it was a one-off.
And we thought it was satirised bad plays from Northern Ireland and all that, and a bit of politics and the ceasefires and all that. And Martin Lynch was speaking to Damon in a bar, and we
Crown Bar. I remember it well.
That's a one-off episode. That'll do us. Thank you very much. Yep. We'll move on to the next thing. And Martin Lynch said, "You what, Damon?"
He said, "You've got a sitcom there. Do you not realise you've got a sitcom?" And like it didn't occur to us at all that we had a sitcom.
I go back just a wee bit further with you guys in the group theatre.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And the reason I went to group theatre one night, I think because my brother Brian was warm up for you.
That's right. Brian played the flute. What a Brian
played the whistle.
That's right.
And I think it was either Hugh Jordan.
Hugh Jordan.
And the best line ever was, you came out on the stage and says, because of my associations, this meant a bit more to me than others. He says, "I just got a note here from the official IRA saying they don't exist." Brilliant.
And I think the other line was, "Anybody who continues to insist that they do exist will be severely dealt with." And just the fact that they don't exist doesn't mean you can stop paying the protection money.
Yes.
Because you had an association with that.
Slight association in the 70s.
In the 70s, because you were born in the Docks area, weren't you?
Born in Moffat Street, off York Street in the Docks area, 1950.
1950, oh God.
In the upstairs bedroom, one of 12.
There are 12 Lynches?
In one room.
Bloody hell.
So,
I remember you telling me though. Well, it wasn't just me. You were doing a speech there, a crowd of aspiring writers. That, I mean, you got involved. Let's say because you wanted to change things.
yes.
But then you realised that you weren't going to change much, taking that path, and you decided that writing was the way to express yourself and to maybe change things.
I think by joining the officials, you, ultimately you realise you're perpetuating the violence and you're part of the problem.
Right.
And so I moved in a different direction. But the old district was good, living in that house, just to come back to that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of advantages of living in those houses. Mm-hmm. An outdoor toilet, with no door on it. And when you went out to go to the toilet and sit on the toilet seat, it was always warm. Because somebody else had just been there before you. Or in the bed, there was 8 of us in one bed. Boys and girls all mixed
8
in.
in one bed?
8 in one bed. So you'd hear the call every now and again, "Right, everybody, turn round to our right." Do you know, right to our left. Our brand says he learned to swim at the shallow end.
Yeah, I was watching. There was one of the comedy channels that was rerunning the first series of Till Death Us Do Part,
Right.
and there's a whole routine about he wakens up, Alf Garnock wakens up in the middle of the night and needs to go and do a piss, and he has to go all the way down and outside to the outside toilet.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like quite common.
Absolutely.
Working class housing would have been that way.
I'll tell you another great story. Just my mate, Seamus Jennings, lived on North Queen Street. They moved out from Moffat Street up in North Queen Street when the rebuilt and all went on. And Sargie, who just died recently, Seamus's brother, was downstairs eating his breakfast. And the dad been upstairs, obviously out for a few beers the night before. Old Peter. Peter was a Celtic man.
Right.
Used to walk, this is in the 60s, like when not everybody was Celtic. He'd come up a street and he'd pronounce it in the Glasgow accent. Oh, Sally, it's a team for me, you know, all that stuff. But old Peter's up in bed and Sarge's sitting there enjoying his fry and watching the TV. And all he hears was, "Pretty buttercup." Sarge stops mid-air. What's he saying? "Pretty buttercup." What could he be on about? He must be delirious with a drink. Carries on. Next thing, "Pretty fucking buttercup." Right, I better go over and see. "Duh," shouts up the stairs. "Duh, what did you want?" "Bring the bucket up."
Very good.
He wouldn't even go down the stairs to the toilet, you know.
Did you start? Were you a docker? Weren't you?
Well, now, come on, that's a loose term.
Oh,
I served my time as a cloth cutter in Pattenger's Entry, right next door to the Morning Star Bar.
So cloth cutter, what is cloth cutter?
Is just cutting up the patterns of the cloth, the big long layers of cloth, and you had a machine and you cut around the sleeves, the legs.
It's for suits.
Aye, and Romac they made boiler suits and overalls.
Right, okay.
And then I moved to another place where Allison Brothers, where we made dresses.
All right.
Children's dresses mainly, all that kind of stuff, you know.
Right.
And from I was 15, as soon as I left Barney Giga.
Oh, you're a Barney boy.
Barney boy. As soon as you leave Barney, you're free to work, right? So I didn't have a job, and you'd go straight to a dock, because your dad was a docker, my grandma was a docker, brothers, but you hadn't got union buttons, so you only get casual work. So I'd have worked the easy jobs. The dockers give you the Barney Giga boys, as they call them, the easy jobs. I remember Jimmy Lynch, an old cousin of ours, was the boss, and he says, he's standing there, and he's an hour 40 checks to give out. He says, "Fuck, cause I'm going to end up Barney Giga boys." And that's really what it was. What I do about swearing here?
No,
You're fine.
right.
You're
Don't
good.
worry.
You can
It's a
swear away.
podcast. You can.
Right, okay.
Because I'm going to bring something up shortly, but
All right. So I would be casual at the dock for off and on for 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And then Arian left to go and do teacher trained at De La Salle College in Manchester, and I got his button. But that coincided with me going on the run
Right. Okay.
around November 71, around that time. So, dyed my hair and all that stupid stuff. And I did that for a number of months before things moved on.
Right. Moved on. The docks in those days were very segregated, weren't they? Because I remember when I worked with the Fair Employment Commission very early
Yes.
on, and there was one of the big cases we took was about a Catholic docker trying to get a job, but they were very split. There was the ATTWU, and there were basically Protestant dockers, and it was very, very segregated.
And then the ITGW, which was Larkin and Connolly's.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what my first play at the
Dockers,
Dockers
yeah.
was
Yeah, I was
about
gonna
that.
say, yeah.
About why the two unions shouldn't come together, and because the bosses used to play the unions off against each other. But if you don't empty that boat, we'll get the fraud that so the rates were kept down and all that, and that was what Dockers was about.
Yeah.
But just segregated and very hard work. I mean, I have seen men with waiting on the heave, coming out of the boat with a truck, and it's snowing, and the men are stripped to the waist.
Oh my God.
Because as soon as that heave comes down, you have to get it and run like hell into the shed. You're on tonnage money, stack it up, back out again, the next heave,
Yeah.
all that carry on.
Tough life.
But our Eamon's been a school teacher now for he's retired now, 40 years, and he says he never enjoyed anything as much as the doc for the 7 years that he did it. The characters, the carry on, the crack.
Yeah.
Like men at the dock, I never seen an attitude to drink like it in my life. Men at the dock would do anything for a drink. Anything,
It's a bit like Tim.
Well, one of my first boats was a drink boat Carlsberg specials from Denmark, Tuborg Gold, all that stuff. I didn't drink, but you could see the dockers, who all got that boat. They were all down being lips like pulled the hatches back, and there it is, drink as far as the eye could see. So we worked till about 9 o'clock, and then the O'Neills, I don't know if anybody knew, Terry O'Neill used to have a column in the North Belfast News, great character. Terry says, I'll be back shortly, lads. He went up to the house, which wasn't far away, got 2 tin openers and 4 mugs, and at 12 o'clock the drinking started. By 3:30 there's a sing-song. Tommy, do you know this one? Crazy. There's a great story where my dad and, ironically, Tuborg Malloy, that was his name, all the jobs were given out, and my dad and Tuborg, boss ran off them. Lads, you wouldn't mind taking a wee job overnight guarding the chapel sheds, which was just facing St. Joseph Chapel. Just all night, take it easy, not to do. Finish at 8 o'clock in the morning. Great. Next thing that goes in and there's
Booze.
all the drink. So Tuborg says to my dad, Jimmy, look, we'll have to take this easy. Just every now and again, a bottle, right? My dad says, no problem. So they're sitting talking. My dad had a good old brain on him, and he could talk about most things. And they were talking about John F. Kennedy. Who shot him, who killed him, and all the CIA, all that stuff. This is like 2 hours later. In the middle of it, Tuborg says, I know the Kennedy family's a good Irish. Do you know this one, Jimmy? If I didn't care. Just from talking into drinking in split seconds. And that's the way the place was,
So you were inspired by a lot of those characters, but also politically, you were socialist all your life?
Yes.
Poverty you saw, and playwriting wasn't really a thing that working class people did in those days, was it?
No.
How did you get into the arts?
Well, I have to say a couple of things. My dad was a bit of a poet. He wrote poetry and he read, unlike most men around our way, he had books by Patrick Collum, Keats, Yeats, and the whole lot. And he'd send me out at night at about 10 o'clock with 3 books, the leaves all connected. He says, now go and get me 3 books. Go to Robbie Baker first, go to Mr. Kavanagh, just streets. And I'm at the door and he said, oh, don't be come back around in cowboy books, because that's what the men read in those days. But he had this poetry thing, and of course the biggest thing of all was he was a master storyteller, as most dockers were. Do you know people? I know mates and all that try and tell a story, and it fizzles and flops.
Yeah,
the docker knows how to start the story, get to the middle point, get to the high point, and end with a laugh.
Yeah.
Your dad was a bit of a philosopher as well, because remember once you told me one of his favourite sayings, and it was the world's run by a parcel of cunts.
That wasn't him. That was Peter Jennings, the aforementioned Peter Jennings. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's true, isn't it?
Of course. Or else there was an old boy up in Turf Lodge called Razorblade. And he used to be sitting at the bar. He worked for the painter for the housing executive. And when I'd come in, he knew I wrote plays, and he was a bit more aware than most of the other guys. Like, in Turf Lodge, I'm working at the Lyric Theatre and all. Nobody knew I was doing that, hardly. I'll tell you a story about that in a minute. But Razorblade used to come up to you, wee Martin, it's the banks. The banks are the cunts, the banks. And go back to his beer. And then there's another guy, Jackie Wisdom, was a bit of a bar fly. And a bar fly invariably helps out at the bar, goes around collecting the glasses to get maybe a free pint or something. And he came over to me and he lifts the 3 glasses. He says, Martin, here you have a play at the Lyric Theatre. I says, I do, Jackie, He says, I saw it in the Irish News there the other day. You're looking well in the photograph and all. He says, where is that Lyric Theatre? I says, it's up a Strong Mills Road. He says, and is it going well? I says, Jackie packed out every night. He says, how many does it hold? I says, 308, which is what it did hold in the old Lyric Theatre. He says, how much is it in? I thought he was planning to go and see it. I says, I think it's £8 Monday and Tuesday, and I think it's £12 at the weekends. He said, you couldn't land us £15 the next week. Just strung me in, reeled me in to top me. So no, in that district, my dad was unusual in that he had a brain and. Right. I mean, my dad shouldn't have been a docker. He hated the dock. Whereas Eamon loved the dock, and all our dockers loved the dock, And then my dad used to tell us all the stories, the nicknames, Shady Pound Note. You know who that is, no?
Shady Pound Note.
Shady Pound Note. When you got your wages at the dock on a Thursday, it was in a brown envelope, and you had to be careful because some dockers might have had a full week's wages. Mm-hmm. Others half a week, because of the casual nature of the work, or maybe very little a day's pay. Mm-hmm. So when you had to be careful how you took your money out and all that. You didn't flash it around. Mm-hmm. So this man, I don't know his name to this day. I only know him, the whole dock knew him as Shady Pound Note. He was in Barney Valley's pub, drinking away. Jerome, the journalist, that's his granddad, that pub, Barney Valley. Jerome, somebody.
Jerome Quinn.
Jerome Quinn. Yeah. His granddad was Barney Valley. Molly Satan used to drink and sit with the men drinking in Barney Valdez. Sawdust on the floor and scrumpy on the counter. The whole works. But, what was I saying? About
Shady Pound Note.
Shady Pound Note. So Shady Pound Note sitting with all the men, and then he realises he has to get his money sorted out, and he's half juiced at this point. So he goes out into the toilet and closes the door behind him, takes the wages out, and he puts, £10 for the wife in the waistcoat pocket, and that. And just after he'd done the first, he'd flushed the toilet after peeing, and the whole lot went down the toilet. So he ran out in a bit of a panic to barman, what good? So the barman and him rolled their sleeves up, and they tried. But then Shady Pound Note made the biggest mistake, as we all do at the dock. Tell somebody your personal information.
Oh, I told them.
And it's out everywhere. Like, at the dock, all the nicknames. Yeah. Limp was a guy who had bad legs and all that, sausage in the pocket. So, used to steal out of their free dinners trays, all that sort of. Loads of nicknames, Shady Pound Note. Just to finish up the Shady Pound Note story, the poor fella's son.
Did he get his money, by the way? Did he get it?
No, he didn't. His son started the dock 15 years later, at 15 years of age, and the dockers immediately dubbed him Shady Town Bob.
Shady Town Bob.
Very good.
So, but the stories of the dock.
You're on the run in 1970. Did you get a letter or what happened? Did you got it on the run? Are you okay?
Yes,
did you be able to come back and somebody said, don't worry about that? Did you call a ceasefire or something? What happened?
What Harry ended up on the run was I didn't like guns and I didn't like the violence, even though I was in the official area.
Okay, yeah.
You were the poetry wing, were you?
I was something like that, the cultural section. We decided to rob, somebody above me decided to rob White Rock Post Office.
Right.
And I was given the job of doing the door. When the boys went in to guard the door, I had a 45 automatic pistol with no ammunition. I asked for that. No ammunition. Don't want to shoot anybody.
Yeah.
Right. But it looked good.
Yeah.
So we're all meant, as soon as we entered, put our masks on, and I forgot.
Right.
So I'm standing at the door.
With a gun.
Doing guard. The following Thursday, my mum went in to pick up her family allowance. Right. And the wee woman that ran the post office says, Mrs. Lynch, I don't want to annoy you, but your son robbed me last week.
That's White Rock Post Office. So you've been owned.
Yes, that's everybody.
How is Ireland not free? That's what I want.
Yeah. So the Brits started raiding our house all the time. You'd be sitting in the house, and a Saracen driving up Norglen Parade sounds exactly like a car in strong reverse.
Yeah.
You knew the engine straight away, and you'd be out the back door and away, things like that. So they were raiding heavily, and then I got the message, and ROC sent me and your guy that he was identified to go away across the border.
Right. Okay. And did you have to stay long across?
We were supposed to stay for months, but we stayed 2 weeks.
Right.
We were moved to Limerick and slept in the brother of Sean South's house.
Oh well.
In Limerick,
Gary Owen.
in Limerick, they were walking about. The guy, they always say in Limerick, says, "Come on, do a message with me," and he handed us a rifle with just no clue. So the four of us walked across Limerick.
That's not in Limerick, though, is it?
It was mad days, and then we came back after Christmas, and then I was very good at being on the run.
Right.
Stay out of cars, have a complete brand new identity and learn it and live it.
Well.
I took the identity of a guy down the street called Emmanuel Ryan. I had to tell Emmanuel this a few
I was going
years
to say,
later.
did you know about this?
30. We were 52 at Monaghan Gardens. He was 34, and his mother actually features in the history of Troubles, according to my dad, with the looted stuff, you know. Kind of. But he, I took his address, I think he even got his date of birth, and of course, the first time I was brought into Fort Springfield, I can't remember his name. His house was raided that night. They jumped through the fucking scenes and everything. And, you know, the search switched from my house to his house, you know. but his ma was a great woman. She was a great out of character. My dad standing at the front door one day. This is 1972. And Maggie comes along with a stainless steel sink unit on her shoulder and trailing another one behind her. "Jimmy, get over to White Rock, there's a big van, stainless steel sink units are great." So my dad sent me over and we got one and sat in the corner for the next 3 years.
Those were mad days. You kind of we did that program, the archive show, Pop Goes Northern Ireland, and you show it to young people and they go, "What the?" I mean,
Yeah.
the 70s was crazy, even up to the 80s and 90s and stuff. You know,
It was. A whole lot of different people reacted very differently to the Troubles.
Well, that's it. You know, a lot of
You
people, didn't get involved, but a lot of people
the
got
guy
involved who would
facing
never
us-
have been involved and
That's
stuff like
right.
that. You know,
The guy facing us, man, the first night of Troubles in the Lower Falls, 3 people shot dead. Straight out, he had a wee hatchback. I remember well, we hatchback Morris Minor, mattress in the back, Cork.
Just it,
Yeah.
that's it.
Never came back from that day. This. Where is it? They're into the street.
yeah.
And our big family, the dad was madman,
Yeah.
3 sons. They fucking ran towards the Trouble.
Yeah.
And they heard it was ratting down the Lower Falls. "Jimmy, Mickey, hurry, well, down the falls to get on these bastards." And, you know, different people reacted very differently.
But one of your most successful plays, you and Grimes and McKay, obviously, Troubles of According to My Dad, which was massive, and it
Yes.
saw the funny side of all of that, and I think people love that. I mean, our end of things as well, of course, we give my head piece, but you were
Yes.
able to see the funny side of stuff.
Well,
even though-
that probably came from my dad. My dad had a
Oh,
great
yeah.
sense of humour.
I mean, Ambrose Fogarty it's a very funny play.
Yes,
But
that's
somewhat-
right.
Well, the
but it's serious.
interrogation of
That's
Ambrose
right.
Fogarty, yes.
Yes,
I mean,
Willie
but
Lagan
it's full
character.
of funny characters and funny exchanges.
Well, the main character, Willie Lagan, he played in a wee band called the Country Four. He says, "Martin, change their name, four cunts. Right? But he said everything twice. Martin, what about you? You know, yeah. So, you know.
Yeah.
Martin, did you hear about, I nearly got arrested in the old house last night? I says, no. He says, a big major came in with 3 soldiers, and the old house has a big bar. Dead, it's not there now. The only traditional music pub in Belfast at the time. And he's at the queues at the bar, you know, big mirrors behind the counter, you know, fixing his hair. He had the Johnny Cash hairstyle and all. And a big major comes in, and he's a hearts and minds job, you know, they're not long in. Goes to the first guy. "Excuse me, sir, could you identify yourself?" This guy takes out his driver's license, Paul Nugent, 5 Lady Street, right? Next guy, "Sir, have you any identification on you?" "Yes, a dole card, such and such." Came to QA. "Excuse me, sir, could you identify yourself?" He was QA. "Yes, that's me, definitely that's me." So he loved all that humour.
Yeah.
And I had written the first draft of Ambrose Fogarty, which was simply an interrogation, you know, political interrogation. And I thought it was a bit dull. And I'm walking the club in the Lower Falls the following week after it finished, and there's going, Martin, pass a pint. And I goes, if I could put QA in the play, you know, and it served another purpose.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the humour. It's the innocent people who got arrested in those days and went through the mill. There was a lot of that went on, you know.
Yeah. And characters like that. I mean, you go back to Troubles Court of my dad, you know,
Yes.
Fireball. You know, still, you know, people still
Fireball.
come up to Conor Grimes
That's
today,
right.
and people still
That's
remember
right.
that sort of.
There's a guy who rings me up. No, the footballer Tim McCann.
Oh yeah,
Played
played for Cliftonville.
Cliftonville,
Oh,
no?
big Cliftonville and Glentoran.
He used to waken his wife in the mornings. Lucy, come down, your breakfast is ready. You know, doing Fireball. Fireball was a guy who vigilanted with us in Turf Lodge at the start of Troubles. But the first night of the vigilanting, there was a couple of buses across the road and lorries and all that. And he'd been in Kelly's bar. And he comes up the street and he's looking as he had ginger hair, you know, and no jumper, tucked down his trousers with the egg yolk still there from tea time and all that stuff. Big thick bottle glasses. And he looked at this chaos. People were running about everywhere, fucking going mad, looking guns, the whole works. You can't believe the chaos of 1969 induced in the population. And he looks at all this. And I could feel my buffer zone, you know, he was close to me. And I turned around and looked at him. And I recognised him. Didn't know him at the time, but I recognised him from going back to work, back and forward to work. He says, who did all that? I says, what do you mean? Do you not know, mate, there's troubles on there? 6 people shot down the lower Forth. But there's no fucking call family hat. He said, like, I'm just out of Callie's. And we have wee darts match. We're second in the league, you know. He said, if everybody could just go to a darts match, have a few pints, and go, no call for all this. And this man did not see it.
Yeah, well, to be fair, he was right.
He
No
did
call
not-
for all this.
He made, somehow or another, I think he made very carefully sure he didn't see the troubles.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I was getting up in the front of
Yeah.
the front cab of a black taxi with him, and 2 people could fit in the front in those days. And he's covered. He worked in I don't want to identify him, but he's covered in white stuff. And we came up, and we had been out protesting to have a leisure centre built at the White Rock, which was eventually built. We were standing there with placards and all that stuff. The Republican Club at Turf Lodge at the time. And he says, look at that. A fucking leisure centre? Like, who wants a fucking leisure centre? He says, what's wrong with a really good darts club? Do you know, that everybody could fit into, like, maybe 4 or 5 teams could play on it. You know, a fucking leisure centre, swimming pool. What the fuck is all that about? You know? And then, of course, he did the football.
Right.
But like a lot of people who do football, they start moving away from the first division because the results are easier to. And then he was down to 3rd and 4th division. So when I told him to take himself off up the barricades for Tottenham, he went to walk away and then he came back. He says to me, Martin, tell me this, have you any idea how Halifax went last night? In the semi-finals of the Milk Cup or something like that. Do you know? The crazy people.
Yeah.
Another time, the very first night after the Troubles in Turf Lodge. Now here's what my dad had all these stories about the humour. My dad says Turf Lodge was the safest Catholic district in the whole of Belfast. Ballymurphy and that side, you know, Anderstown, that, you know, there wasn't any danger of Protestants or anybody else. But the very next morning, the bottom of Anderstown Road, there's all these flagstones that had been dug up about 3 feet high, right across the bottom of the road. And there's a guy standing there in a white shirt. I always remember, this is about 7 o'clock in the morning. Teddy boy hairstyle. I knew his face again, but he's standing there. And in front of him, there's this contraption, like a spout and all on it, you see, and attached to a petrol can. And I goes, and he's standing like that, waiting, you know, determined, jaw out. I says, what's this, mate? He says, that's a flamethrower. I says, what do you mean? He says, the first fucking orange man comes down that road, I'm going to fucking burn the balls on. This is what people were up to. Do you know, we solo...
Making homemade flamethrowers.
Absolutely. People don't understand the chaos.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you would have been there like when the split happened.
Yes.
The Provost, at the formation of the Provost.
I was just after the split. My two brothers were there at the split. They'd been there for the 60s.
Yeah.
And I remember Ariam lying in bed with me one night. He slept on that side and I slept on two single beds. In Turf Lodge by this time we had separate beds. And he says, Martin, the movement's going communist. Mm-hmm. And I remember going, fuck, I better tell my mummy the movement's going communist. The officials had developed this new road of agitation, politics, socialism and all that stuff. But that was that time. And then, of course, after that, right, for most of the 70s, it was feuds and changes. Yeah. The worst time of my life. Yeah. Dark, dark, dark times.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, it would have been... It was. You say chaotic. It was mad.
Yes.
At that stage.
Yes. You know, did you ever see the Godfather where they talk about going on the mattresses?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had to find safe houses and bring mattresses and sleep through the feud periods. You know, terrible times.
Yeah, terrible, but humour in them. It's bizarre, isn't it? It's kind of dark, black humour.
Of course,
that people love, and a lot of people say that's a survival mechanism and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, we were checking cars coming into the top end of Turf Lodge, which was our territory, and this guy, Kevin, was a school teacher, lived in Cruncha, and he was asking us, how do I stop a car? What do I do? He says, look, you've got the chat, 45 revolver. Just say to him, excuse me, sir, could you wind your window down, put the gun in, just let him know the score. Mm-hmm. Right. And Kevin's rehearsing this. So he's down there, the first car comes along. Man rolls it down. Kevin goes, and there's his door key hanging on there. All the modest stuff out there.
So how do you get from on the mattresses with the officials to being a playwright of the lyric? I mean, is that a big leap? Or
well,
seems like a big leap.
It is a big leap. Like to go from being signed on at Box 32 in the Falls Road to being resident playwright at the lyric by the end of a week is a big leap in anybody's book. But my dad's storytelling was there.
But you were writing it for the love of it, or were you writing going, I'm going to be a playwright and I'm going to be at the lyric, or were you inspired by anybody else? No, you just do it for the fun and writing down the stories and going, this is for me.
I had no ambitions. So how could I write plays and be in the lyric theatre or anything like that? So essentially what happened was I'd gone to a Scottish trade union camp in the Iron Islands in Scotland and bringing 30 kids of internees families over, giving them a break for a week or two. And then they had their camp, and all their kids were all beautifully behaved. You know, they sang songs like, I belong to a family, the biggest on earth, peace songs and all that stuff. Our ones were asked to sing as the kids from the Margats and the we're all off to Dublin and the green and the green, and every fucker we meet we're going to kill them and throw bombs and all that stuff. So I went back and thought of this thing. They had a thing called the Fellowship, something, and I started up the Turf Lodge Socialist Fellowship, and I started a drama group, guitar classes, a choir, a minstrel troupe, all that stuff in the club in Turf Lodge to try and imbue and induce people, you know. And the drama group was set up that night. I'd seen sketches in the Newsboys Club in York Street, and that's all I'd ever seen before. I'd never been to a play in my life. And I stole a writing pad out of Gardener's, and I sat up at night with my knees up.
You liberated a writing pad.
I got my first education in Gardener's bookshop. And I wrote out this play. My dad used to tell stories all the time about the 1932 outdoor relief riots and struggle and all that. And I thought, I'd like to write a play about that. And I just went around everybody in the district because I had a senior position. I said, you're in a play tonight, you're acting, you know, you're doing stage manager. And it all happened, and we put our first play on in Turf Lodge. And people liked it. Do you know? There was a lot of humour, laughing. We packed the club. We moved around the other clubs and community centres, and I thought, phew, I'm not bad,
Yeah.
you know. And then we moved down to group theatre.
Right.
The group theatre put an advertisement in the paper. What are we talking about now? About 78, 79. Reopened after James Young was the last performer there in 72 or something.
He died in 74. Yeah.
Refurbished it all, and they put an ad in the paper saying anybody wants to book a group theatre for...
It was an amateur theatre. That's where we started, yeah. The
Yes.
group theatre, yeah. Brilliant,
Go
brilliant wee
down.
spot.
But it said at the bottom, contact the gas department.
The gas department.
So I said, God, we could bring our play down to the group theatre. So I went down to stood in the queue with all the adults playing their belts. And I came, I says, I want to book the group theatre. Well, we go behind the counter. I'll go and get somebody. So this guy, I remember his name, Norman, he later became chief executive of Lisburn Council. He says, you want to book a group theatre? Right, he says, and he just know how many docket things you have for a seat. He says, give me £10, and he wrote it out. I could have been putting on Old Calcutta, you know, for all they knew or cared.
Yeah.
But we were the second show on. The first show was the Bard Players or somebody. What do you call it?
The Bardic players?
Bardic.
The Bardic.
No, that's Tyrone. Big Dickie Mills used to run, I forget the name.
Mills.
Oh, Dick
Beaver.
Mills, Beaver.
Beaver run the week
Players.
before us doing
Yes.
Sailor Beware, some farce.
Yeah.
And we brought our play down. They're taking the bar kids down. And we all went into a group theatre. First time ever in the theatre. Because when we did the play elsewhere, you were changing in top of crates and store and all that stuff. And we all went into that dressing room. And there on the windows is written, Turf Lodge, break a leg, Beaver Players. Big Hugo crowd. What? Break a leg? That's fucking cunts. That's because we're from Turf Lodge. Bastards. Fucking, where are they? You know? So we put it on and packed out a city centre theatre for 2 weeks. The guy who then came in and brought us on from
What year
Norway.
was this, Martin?
79.
Right,
About
wow.
79.
Wow.
And what I didn't know at the time was that a couple of board members of the Lyric had come to see it, Sam McCready, Pierce O'Malley, John Boyd, and they all had a meeting and decided that I'd become their new resident playwright, unbeknownst to me.
Wow.
So that's where that
Right.
sort of leap went to.
Was it, I mean, that seems quite an easy journey. Don't take that, but the Lyric would have been seen as fairly middle class in those days, wouldn't it? Putting on their
Absolutely. I had
Ibsens and their Chekhovs, and then they have...
Before that, I was asked to go so not asked. A play had arrived in Turf Lodge called, this is probably why I started writing in most senses, called The Non-Stop Comedy Show, written by John Arden, a famous English playwright, and Margaret Dorsey. And I was asked, it was a play commissioned by the officials Dublin office, and I was asked to organise it. So I organised the 18-hour version of it.
18
hours at Queen's
Right.
Students' Union. You had to bring a pillow and your flask and all that stuff. And then he broke it up into 2-hour sections to move around centres, and I organised all of that. And that play really impressed me. Fantastic. You know, an actor just standing up and changing a coat and he becomes somebody else.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. I can see now that it was a Damascus moment, but at the time it didn't. You just enjoyed it. And then again in the theatre, in the club that night says, you know, I've just seen a play at the Lyric Theatre called We Do It for Love. It's very good, you'll enjoy it, Martin. I says, where's the Lyric Theatre? I actually didn't know where it was. And I had to go down, get a bus, got a black taxi, down to the city centre, walk across to facing Europe and get a bus up. And I was to meet the board. I had the duffel coat and all in those days, you know. And yes, I was very, very intimidated.
Right.
But also by that time felt sure about my writing. I was confident in my writing. I was confident that I wrote good characters, that my dialogue was good, that the humour was good.
Yeah.
So within myself I knew.
And then you had a big hit with Dockers.
Well, that's it. Dockers, I mean, people, it's not for me to say this, but somebody the Lyric did a documentary on 50 years of Lyric a couple of years ago. And they say that Dockers and Ambrose Fogarty, Dockers was 81, Ambrose Fogarty was 82, brought an unusually wide social audience
All right, okay.
to the theatre. Like dockers, big crowd of dockers turned up on the opening night,
Right.
Right.
and there's in the play, there's this docker Buckets McGuinness, the barroom philosopher. He's trying to borrow £2 off Sarah Montague, the moneylender, and she kept knocking him back. And at the end of Act 1, Nora knocked back about 3 times, and Terry Gibney goes, "For fuck's sake, it's only £2. Give them on £2." In the middle of the Lyric Theatre. So you can imagine the impact that had on the Lyric. And on the opening night, Stan Ovation brought me up on stage. I would say, "Don't do now." He'd bring me up on stage. He made a wee speech and thanked my man, Da, and all the dockers loved
wow.
it. Do you know,
Big
it was,
moment.
and Mairead Corrigan was one of the first on her feet. Kieran McCune,
All right.
Emmons.
Peach people.
It was a special time
Well,
for me.
Because there wasn't that kind of tradition of working class theatre, working class going to the theatre, and there was in Dublin. There was always that kind of
With O'Casey and all that.
O'Casey
and
stuff.
being-
Belfast didn't really have that.
I think that's right. The only time that was broken
plus
was
the IRA blew up half a theatre.
the only time that was broken was Sam Thompson in 1960
Yeah.
with Over the Bridge.
Yeah.
You know that they put that on. You may all know the story where
Yeah.
they had to find the theatre and all, but he was told that nobody would
Band
come
out of the
and see
group,
it.
wasn't it?
No,
No, the
I'm
group took
sorry,
it on.
band out of the group. Band out of the group. Sorry,
yeah.
Tim. Band out
Controversial
of the
play
group.
about sectarianism in the
Yes,
shipyard.
in the shipyard, and him and Jimmy Ellis got the old, is it Empire Theatre
Yeah,
or something?
yeah.
Put it on, ran for 6 weeks, and all the shipyard men came in their droves and loved it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's one. I remember watching that on TV. That was filmed when I was about 11 or 12, and it making an impression on me. You know, even though I wasn't singing about drama or yeah. So, and then since that, I think with myself and the likes of Murray Jones and so on, we've built up a very wider audience
Oh, it's massive now.
right across the
Yeah.
board. I mean, the BTs, we get the BTs from the theatres. The biggest BT going constituency is BT 9,
Right.
of course. And then after that, it's BT 36,
Right.
which is the Antrim Road up to Glengormley, Newton Abbey. And then BT 12, which is West Belfast. And then BT 15,
Which is North Belfast.
which is North Belfast. So the whole social spectrum has widened, and
Right.
it's no longer. I mean, the Falls Road turns out working class actors.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, we've had half of them on the show here.
Correct.
Thinking Kieran Nolan, Marty McCann, you know,
Yeah.
Marty McGuire. You've worked with and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I first went to Lyric, all the actors were all talking docker in the
Hello,
first
Martin.
week.
Your play about the docks is marvellous.
And this is Belfast people, you know, who had knocked their accent out to be able to play Oscar Wilde and all the rest of it. So I had to stop everything and say to Sam, they need to say, we don't use our G's at the end of coming, going, being. We don't say fight, right, nice. We say fight, right, nice, all that stuff. And he had promised me 2 brothers fighting the play, Ian McElhenney and another one. And I had said to Sam, now I want this casting to be, I didn't say it that way, but I'd love the casting to be authentic with, you know, people. He says, oh, I know, we got it all sorted out. Ian McElhenney, minister's son from Port Stewart,
Yeah.
was playing one brother, and Peter Quigley
Right.
was playing the other brother. And I looked up, and there he was sitting fucking knitting in the rehearsal room. Here's me, Jesus, it's going to be good. Doctors are going to love this. And in the end, it was all good. You know, it worked very well.
You couldn't be bad, Ian McElhenney. And you have a close relationship with Mary Jones as well.
Yes.
You collaborated for years. And
Yes. I started with Murray, and they started a company called Sharbank Theatre Company. I wrote their first play.
Oh, we had her in. She
Yes.
credits you very highly, by the way, and
She
said,
does.
yeah, she said,
She
you know,
does.
you inspired her to
She
kind of
always
go.
does.
You can write. Said, well, I think the women came to you, said, "Will you write a play for us?" And you
That's
said, "No,
right.
no, you write your own book and play." You
Yes,
know, but
and
I'll
I
help
ended-
you. But
I ended up writing it together.
Yeah.
I ended up writing the first draft and all that stuff, and then we brought Mary in to write more because she showed an ability straight away.
and collaboration is very important in the theatre and stuff like that. I mean,
I think so. The whole thing, Tim.
Troubles, according to my dad, I mean, Grimes, yours, but
Yes.
Grimes and McKay are all over it, you know. I mean,
Yes,
it's a massive
yes.
success and it's collaboration.
Yes, the thing about the whole theatre, as you will know, when you put a play on, it's utterly dependent on a wide range of people.
Yeah.
The lighting guy, the stage,
Yep.
they have to have their things right at the right
Yep.
time, as well as the
Good
actors.
stage manager,
director.
yeah.
And I love that. It's a contradiction, or it's the opposite Doc, where in the canteen, if a guy dipped his egg in somebody, dipped his soda in somebody else's egg, it's a fucking snouting match straight away.
Yeah.
You get hit, you could end up in a fight for next to nothing. That doesn't exactly happen in the theatre. There's I think there is a collaborative nature to it,
Yeah.
and a lot of people need to be there to make things work.
Yeah. Well, it's the same in our world in the TV. It's a lot of people. You need to get the right people as well. You don't need
Yes.
no room for arseholes, basically. But you need to get the right people in order to produce them. If the wrong director or the wrong producer or something,
That's
you
right.
can
That's
ruin it.
right.
And you've now you've got Green Shoot Productions, which works with community groups and new plays and all sorts of things. The last time I saw you was you did the big thing in Tigers Bay, wasn't it? The community
Yes, the
theatre in
Pride of
Tigers
the
Bay?
Shore.
Pride of the Shore.
Yeah.
I met Mary at that was actually last year, my birthday. Funny enough, they'd finished their last show.
Yes.
And Mary and I met some of the actors
Yes.
and all who had a brilliant time, and that was Tigers Bay, bringing people
Yes.
together who one of those deprived communities. That
Well,
kind of,
there's an ongoing myth, Tim, that Protestant working classes don't go to the theatre.
yeah.
And there's a semblance of truth to it. But when you present them with the article,
Yeah.
with something that is important to their lives, they came to the Mac for that play in their droves, from Tigers Bay, Mount Vernon, Shore Road, in their droves, families, whole families. And then, of course, when we put on the David Irvine play, The Man Who Swallowed a Dictionary,
That's-
same thing.
yeah.
Frauds came to the theatre in large numbers. I mean, you saw for the first time, and Christina Nelson commented on this on her Facebook, groups of men in their 60s, groups of men coming to the theatre.
Yeah.
No women with them.
On their own.
On their own.
They made the
You
choice
know.
themselves.
Yes. so we've been doing that with Green Shoot. We're now residency in the New Lodge. Moved across from
Yeah.
Tigers Bay and we're in the New Lodge. We just had a wee play there. What did you do for Aranda? In the Mac again.
Right.
And we're doing another big, large scale play in the New Lodge next year,
Right.
which we're hoping this is a world exclusive, which we're hoping might be about McGurk's Bar,
All right.
All right,
Okay.
right.
which is a very important episode in the history of that district.
That's, yeah,
Oh, yes,
yeah,
well, I mean,
probably
we-
1971, McGurk's.
71, December 71.
15 people killed in a bar, and
Yeah.
it was loyalists, but then it was blamed at the time on the
Yeah,
IRA
right,
and
all
all of
that
that. No,
stuff. Yes.
never, and they give inquiries and all that sort of stuff, and being
Yeah.
blocked and all that.
My dad used to drink in it,
Yeah.
and he got barred twice for swearing. Mr. McGurk was a mad Catholic, devout Catholic, and wouldn't have swearing in the bar.
Yeah.
So he wasn't having the IRA about the place.
Right.
Not that there's any dispute about that anymore,
No,
but
not anymore. Yeah.
so
All right. Well, look.
keep 'em going.
Right. And you're still you were just telling us you were back from where were you, LA or somebody?
We opened the San Francisco International Arts Festival with In the Name of the Sun, the play about Jerry Conlon,
Right.
just at the end of around early May,
Right.
and had a great time over there. A lot of Irish Americans and all came along, of course. A lot of Belfast people,
Yeah.
who born in Belfast in San Francisco, all came to that play.
There's a big audience out there.
3 nights we did it, and 2 nights was pretty much packed, and then 1 night in the middle was down a wee bit. But the Belfast people come to hear the accent and meet you and all that. It brings out nostalgia. There's a lot out there from Mannerstown runs.
We should do a gig out there. We should give me a headpiece in LA. I think I would be.
Definitely. Definitely.
Give me if anybody in LA's watching or listening. Yeah, we're available. Yeah, we've never done a gig in LA. Yeah.
It was good, it was great. And we did New Zealand. Sam Neal,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
he came to the play in New Zealand
Oh, wow.
and left a note for Sean saying I'm a big fan. That was terrific, something like that.
Brilliant.
So that was nice.
You have a
you know.
clatter of plays under you. I mean, and you still don't. You told you were born 1950s. You're still working away.
And just finished with The Name of the Sun. We're back in the Lyric for 2 weeks at the end of August.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
There's a play called The Tunnel on the first 2 weeks in August by Terry George,
Right.
which is about the NLA skipping out of 15 people get out through a tunnel, I think, in the 70s. And then our play. So
Right.
Sean Blaney I don't know if anybody's ever seen Name of Son.
Yeah.
It's a most incredible performance. Probably in the top 10 of performances I have ever seen in the theatre.
Well,
Absolutely
yeah.
dynamic and
And
brilliant.
arts world at the minute now is booming. There's you look everywhere. There's the Cathedral Quarter Arts Festival, which you were very instrumental in starting, weren't you? The Cathedral?
Started that festival, by the way.
You started the entire thing.
Yes,
It's massive and it's
Well, I'd moved back to the Academy Street area to be director of the Community Arts Forum in the early 90s. And I started walking around the streets that I was so familiar with. That's where I was reared. And we used to have lunch in the Duke of York. And the Duke of York closed every night at 6 o'clock. You know, that place was absolutely dead on its feet.
Yeah.
And I'd travelled quite a lot around Europe and North America, seen old towns and all that stuff. And I sat up one night and wrote a paper. We called it then Lower Donegal Street Quarter, or didn't use the word quarter. And I wrote all the things that most of them have happened. An art centre at the Edward Street Car Park, which is now the Mac.
Right.
The only one that hasn't been implemented, and the Writers' Square. That's my conception plan. Put it to lag inside and all that. I got Michael Longley to do chair of it, to select the quotes that are on the ground,
Right.
all that stuff. So I spent about 6 years working on the development of
Well.
Cathedral Quarter. I wrote the first paper, and Brenton Mackin, who ran the Unemployed Centre,
Remember it well. Yeah.
got us a meeting with the Department of the Environment. And there was a guy called Ronnie Spence. Ronnie Spence and Dick Mackenzie at that department had been in the Labour Party with Brenton way back years ago. And they thought it was great that we were coming to them with an idea for the area. People have the misconception that Richard Needham started the Cathedral Quarter.
Yeah.
He brought in an economic thing where you got a bit of money to move there. About 10 businesses moved there, and then the money was cut, and that was it. So I'm there 5-6 years after that with this idea. And Ronnie Spence sent a man called Dick Mackenzie down to meet me to walk around the district. Now, dead. When I say dead, it was a drizzly afternoon, 5 o'clock, corner of Warren Street and Hill Street. And the only people you saw was the odd postman going across back and forward to the post office. And I'm enthusing to this man, you know, he's a man about 60 in shirt and tan. I says, this could be an arts quarter, cultural, young people, theatres, art exhibitions, the whole lot, you know, like I mentioned various places I had been to. And I could see him looking at me glassy-eyed.
Yeah.
You know, he thought this fucking lad's off his head.
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, I stood in the same spot watching, what do you call it, Cultural Night.
Yeah.
Thousands of people
Yeah.
coming down.
Yeah.
And brilliant.
Do you get free paints in there around there now? You should do.
I'm telling you, the money I've made for Willie Jack,
Oh,
put it that way.
Willie
you
Jack,
know.
who owns the Dark Horse and the Duke of York and the Harpin.
Yes, and the Orby place, Dark Horse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean in fairness to him, he has contributed brilliantly
Oh no,
with
he's
his
very
imagination
yeah,
and
yeah.
attracting people to the area. So it's a great plus for what has happened in Belfast and what Belfast was.
Oh, 100%. I mean, all the tourists go there now. I think the King was there recently, wasn't he? The King was around there.
That's right.
And you've got a lot of student thing with the University of Ulster down
Yeah.
there as well. It's really pouring in, you know.
That's right. Massive.
Yeah.
Do you look back on your career and go, "Geez, I've been pretty lucky," or you're very proud? Do you look back and go, "Jeez"?
Sometimes,
plays,
mostly I'm looking for the next project. I'm moving on all the time. I mean, I've 4 or 5 projects bubbling at the moment on various levels. But sometimes I do. I remember the night of In the Name of the Sun, the opening night in the Lyric Theatre. I was 73 at that point. Standing ovation in the Lyric Theatre, roaring, cheering the audience. And I remember sitting down after the standing ovation saying, fuck, here I am, still filling the Lyric Theatre. What's that, from 1981 to 2024. And there's also a correlation with Mari and I. With Mari and I's careers, we were talking about this the other day because Mari and I are working on a new 1798 play
Oh, right.
Cool.
Excellent.
about Bell Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And you know Bell Martin?
No, I haven't heard of
That's the beautiful woman, the waitress in Peggy Barclay's Tavern, who's informed on the United Irishmen.
All right.
All right.
Great,
There's
great,
always a tout in there.
great story.
Irish history, there's always a fucking tout.
I know, they're everywhere. But we're writing a play about that, and so it was realised, when you look back at the history of theatre in Belfast, there's no two writers have had the longevity
Yeah.
that we have had. You don't mention
No,
anybody.
probably not.
We're writing professionally now, what is that, 40 odd years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. Murray and I were having a wee competition about who's had the most plays on the Lyric Theatre as well. I think at the time she had 23 and now 22. Something like that.
She's brilliant. Yeah, we had her and Ian in here, you know. And
Murray's an inspiration. She really
there's
is.
so many people.
But like Shara Bank was 5 actresses who couldn't get work
Yeah.
and they wanted to work, and she was the driving force.
And you were also the inspiration as well for cheap sets and having small casts, and you don't need millions of millions of props.
There's a limit to that philosophy.
What limit are you suggesting?
Because the Hole in the Wall gang have fucking taken that limit. And,
Well,
and
we were inspired by
bus
you.
through it.
No, if you come to see Give My Headpiece live, you will see a very elaborate set which consists of a table and 2 chairs and a sofa. Come on, but you've done plays with just a box. You know.
we have Connors of Lone Cash has 6 long boxes, and that's
Yeah.
all. We started off for a full set,
Yeah.
the whole lot behind it, then realised it could be done with 6 blocks.
Exactly.
Once the actors create the characters and once you create the situation, once you get them engaged in the first 15 minutes, there doesn't need to be a
Nobody
brilliant
laughs
set.
at furniture.
Sets,
When we're writing
then that's right.
know.
Sets are for the West End.
Yeah.
People think they pay 60, 70, 80 quid for a play in the West End. They want
Yeah.
to see tricks.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever said to us, you see that sofa and those 2 chairs? They were for their mother head.
And you know, people like my man or Marie, when I say to them there's a play, they say, what's it about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they want to know.
Yeah.
They don't want to know does Stella McCusker look brilliant and lighting and anything like that. Stella
Yeah.
is consumed by that. You know. Sorry, Stella.
And are you happy to take responsibility for Give My Headpiece then?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yes, I've done well. I haven't received any royalties from it, but apart from that,
What?
yeah. No, I think you boys have done great. Like the very start, I should have said stick to your day jobs, but you have created something brand new as well. From 3 guys who were students in law to a whole proliferation. Like you're writing dramas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the one by Judge Kernan
Yeah.
was a brilliant piece.
Yeah, they were.
Why I think you should be doing more of that.
I know. Well, you see. Yeah.
How do you get into a TV to write a play? The BBC haven't asked me, do I own a pen
Yeah.
in 40
Yeah,
years?
it's a difficult thing. Drama.
And Mary's never much on TV.
Barry's never hasn't been asked in 40 years either. Because I think we make people laugh.
Yeah.
And the BBC isn't sure about that. In fact, they're definitely against it.
Especially not drama. Drama's something very serious.
Yes.
Don't slag off our employer, please.
I know.
Well, no, BBC drama. That's across the border. That.
Well, the BBC
Yes.
dramas are all from London. It's not.
Well,
you know,
that's it.
That's despite any protestations to the contrary.
Martin, thank you very much for being our 50th guest. We've done over an hour. We could have done. We're going to bring you back because you could have done another hour. We haven't even touched the surface of the plays you've written, the plays, the people you've inspired. Didn't get the dancing shoes and all sorts of things. But we will genuinely bring you back. And thank you very much for our careers. Thank you very much for coming in on the 50th episode. We are live.
30 years of Give My Headpiece.
Yes.
Well, I just want to say you're talented and you deserve everything. And you've worked. The big thing about you, George Best at 27 wasn't any good. I was a better footballer than him because he wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
And I say to people when they want to write a play, you have to work at it. You have to apply yourself.
Yeah.
And you 3 have obviously done that in a significant
Well, I
way.
have them too, really, to be honest with you.
I thought the guy Marty was ashamed that he didn't carry on because he was good
Marty
on
Reid?
the stage. Marty Reid.
Marty had a full-time job. Marty is Uncle Andy, and a lot of people would like him on the podcast. We will genuinely get him on the podcast. We need a big twist his arm.
But sure, you had the potential for. You could have been. You think some of you were practicing, weren't you?
Yeah.
Well,
We were, yeah.
So-
Practiced, yeah.
Does he not regret that now?
No, he was a computer art person in Queens, you know, and he
I
could
know,
have been.
but
He's
I
actually a
don't-
really good actor, straight actor, and he does perforated Ulster with us, and he does the TV and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
We'll get
Oh
him
no,
on.
he undoubtedly could have.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
could have, Marty among all of us. Like,
Yeah,
could
yeah,
have-
the bill.
Would have
could
been
the
on
one
our
that-
wage, like, but they said that.
Martin, thank you very much. Thank you to listening to this 50th episode. You can catch up on all the past episodes. They're all online. Google Give My Head podcast. And we'll see you hopefully live at the... we'll be back next week. But we'll see you live at the Mandela Hall on Sunday the 12th of October for Give My Head podcast. First ever live episode. And also Give My Head Piece will be on tour next March. Martin, last plug for your play at the Lyric Theatre.
In the name of the sun at the Lyric Theatre,
In the name
last
of-
2 weeks in August.
Last 2 weeks in all, in the name of the sun, don't miss it. Genuinely brilliant piece of work. Martin Lynch, thank you very much for being our guest
And
on the
thank
Give My
you,
Head
folks.
podcast. Thank you.
All good. Thank you.